Hey guys, Greg and Gian here with Underground Graphics. Today we're going to show you the 3-bar hockey. So this is a kit we actually did for a customer. You may have seen it on our site a few weeks ago. These same colors on an eruption green. We did a special, I think it was a gold laminate on top of that, had a lot of sparkle in it. We love the kit and we decided to go ahead and turn that into something that we're going to offer for everybody. We did turn those colors back. This is the traditional way we normally do it. If you want to offer the flip, we're going to offer that as an option as well. This is shown as the full kit where we've got that hockey stripe coming from the rear bumper all the way up to the fender, up over the hood, and it will continue on the other side. That's going to be the full kit. We're also going to offer that as a sides only. So if you choose to do a separate hood or have a wild track with the hood graphic already on there, we don't have to worry about that. This will still work with our 3-bar hood. So if you want to run that stripes around the matte black on top of that hood, we have that option as well. But again, several options for that. This is going to be, of course, our red kit. We're also going to offer this in our other colors as well, the blue, the 3-bar blue, the 3-bar black, and the 3-bar brown, which goes great with bronze wheels. We did cut some small strips. We're just going to put those colors on this back door to show those options. So a lot of things to do on this. Gion's going to give me a hand. He did a great install yesterday. We're going to kind of let him take the reins on a lot of these installs now, but we did want to introduce what this kit was. Gian, you did this kit before when we did that on that eruption green. It's a little trickier than most of our kits just because of the alignment on that. We just did this tape up on this, and you and I kind of went back and forth on this. So it is a little tricky to get that lined up. So we do want you to make sure you tape this up where, you're happy with where it's at. A couple of the tricks that we did, we put a 1-inch piece of masking tape right here at the front, and that's going to give you, again, a good basis for that lineup. It's right off of that mirror. This hood's going to follow almost the line all the way down. It is a little bit forward, so you're going to have a little bit of paint on that, and again, that may be some of that shift. We've got where this line here is almost at this door, and if we flip that back and you see the next one over, this door is overlapping onto this next door. So again, you've got just a little bit of room on there, and you want to make sure you get these lined up as close as you can. It looks like we're about a 1/16 of an inch off there. Once you get these tucked in there, that's going to disappear. That bottom marker is really the top of that spear running all the way down, and again, it's measure, measure, measure. You want to be happy with where this is at. As always, these are dry install kits. This is our 3M 180MC wrap film. Unlike the 2080 series, this does need to go on with, you don't want to lay that on there. You do kind of want to hold that up and then squeegee that down. So you do want to have those marks so you know which way you're going in one direction with that. But it is still air release. Should go down very easy for you. Gian, you got anything you want to add on that?
I think you covered everything. I think we can go over materials, and I know we already cleaned it.
Yep, we're gonna always want to clean with that alcohol water mix. We like that 10%, 90% water, just to make sure we get all those contaminants off of that. Additionally, temperature controlled environment, always a necessity with this. We want to be in that 70 to 75 degree range. That means not doing that outside in 105 degree weather here in Houston right now. If it's too cold, it's going to get dry, it's going to get brittle, it's going to get rigid. If it's too hot, it's going to get soft, and it's going to tack. It's not going to be what you want to do. So that is important to do that. Again, with that dry kit, we've had people say they've installed these wet. Great, Greg, it's installed great, no problem. Recommend do not do that. It's been done. It's not recommended by the manufacturer. That water can get into that adhesive and do things that it just wasn't designed for. So again, dry installs install dry, wet installs install wet. Those can be done dry. It's just a little bit more difficult. So it's like temperature, tools. We provide you with a plastic squeegee with this. We will have the felt tips available on the site. Those do not come on the squeegee. But again, these are masked, so even the finish you see on there now, this is actually a gloss kit. We can offer that in a satin if you want to. Please specify in a separate email or in the notes online. But that mask or the transfer paper is there to protect the vinyl as we squeegee. So the hard edge of that squeegee is totally fine on the face of that. That's why if you see any imperfections or any blemishes, it's typically in the mask. So don't freak out when you open that up. We talk about that in a separate video. But if you have any questions, always just give us a call. Seems like we're always here, working late, doing something. Always making new stuff. Anyway, Gino, where do you want to start with this?
I think the hood.
All right.
I think I want to start with the hood.
So with that hood, as we saw, we want to get that taped up so we know where that's going to line up. As we got on here, you just want to make sure as we fold this over, looks like there's about a 1/4 inch there. Right where that finger's at, and again, we're going to see that as we go through. So that's the tricky part with that. And again, this is going to kind of fall out, go up that fender, roll over, and you see there's just going to be a little bit of tuck into that back side of that fender. So yeah, I think we got this taped right about where we're going to do that. We can match the other side onto that. We'll knock out that hood. You want to do the hood, and I'll start working back to front.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, so as Gion's going to start on the hood, that's a pretty big piece. I'm going to let him get going on that. I'm going to go ahead and start this piece here so I can match up to that hood. Again, very important we get these marks on here. Tape first, we can go back, we can always reposition before we lay it down, but once it's down, it's down. I'm really happy with where this is at, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on this, but again, I want to be careful not to move what I've already got in place. I'm going to do this hinge method from here to here. To leave this one here, I can move this one up a little bit, just so I get an easier hinge. And again, leave those marks. I know where I'm going to want to hit there. I know where I'm going to want to hit here. And I can still pull. You see me do this before? I like that little mark. And even though this is going to go right over this, it's just the edge of that. And I don't think I'm going to have a problem. I'll line up that bottom piece right there. And again, even though I laid that down, it's not really tacked. And now I'm going to go ahead and pull this piece up, pull that out. We know where our mark's going to be now. And you can see there where that's falling really close on that door. Now I've got that down. I'm going to go ahead and work up to the front, and we're just going to feed into that spear to give it no stress. And I like using that felt end. Again, I really love those felt squeegees. Once we get to that line there, then we can really just use our thumb on the edge of that squeegee. But I want to get right into that crease. Just feed that right in there. We talked about the importance of also having clean hands. Make sure, wash your hands, because you are going to be touching, not heavily, but you are going to touch the back side of that adhesive. You can see there, I just pulled that tape off. You can see that matched up perfectly with that tape mark. And there's going to be a little bit, I'm not sure if that backing paper lined up to exactly that, but that's where there's going to have a little bit of room just to make sure, wiggle that in place, make sure you got it where you want it. We're going to crest that bend, and I can feel that. Are you already down on your side?
Oh yeah. All right.
Pull up your mark here.
Let's get myself started and set up for the next side.
It's going to be a little tricky to get this mask off, because I don't want to touch, both edges are going over, are hanging over an edge. Again, I've got fingernails, so I'm going to try to just barely get that edge off of here. And when we talk about getting this mask off, you don't want to pull straight back. Try to get that at a 180-degree angle. Once that is off, we can come back, use that felt edge of that squeegee. We can roll that, once we open that door, we can roll that in there. For now, we just want to get as far as we can. And again, I love that felt, but if you don't have that felt, you can still do this. The plastic on this laminate, well, this isn't PPF, it does still have some self-healing properties, so any light surface scratches you can get out with the heat gun, which is really nice.
All right, so even though Greg had already tuck this in right here. I'm just gonna give it a once over real quick. Never hurts to check yourself. Once we're happy with that, I did already lay down the other side of the hood, so just need to worry about this side. And we did go ahead and clay bar this whole vehicle before we start on the install, just because you don't want contaminants underneath the vinyl. And as usual, we're doing the hinge method for this. And of course, as mentioned, overlapping strokes. You don't want to go all random with your squeegee. You're going to end up with an air pocket that you won't like. I'm not pulling on this at all. Just letting it fall where it is. Making sure that's not touching anything back here. You just want to just kind of get it even with this hump. And then evenly work that down. Shouldn't have to heat this. As long as you didn't pull it, it should fall into place. This was made to go in here without heat. So everything should fall right in place. Alright, I met my tape marker right there. Make sure you go all the way to the edge. I'm gonna go ahead and pull our tape since we don't need those. And now we're gonna pull the mask. Just like Greg had mentioned, pull that mask at 180 degrees. You pull straight up, you might risk pulling up something, or if maybe your squeegee didn't hit somewhere and you're pulling up at a 90, then you might go backwards on all your progress. Keep that real close. There's just a hair off up here at the hood, but it is going to tuck into the hood. Just going to pull right up to that edge there. You can get a piece of tape after you lay on the fender graphic and just put it right along this edge, and the vinyl won't stick to that tape as much as it is to the fender or to the vinyl that's already there. If you don't, you can just kind of lift it up and stop it from sticking. Just slowly work your squeegee through there. Kind of in a Pac-Man kind of way. And we're gonna just get under that hood enough. And then we will open the hood and line it up to where we have that, to where we like it. Now let's move back over onto Greg.
Oh, I'm done. Just kidding.
All right.
So when we got this door done, again, I did want to get that, make sure I got those lines tightened up a bit. I ended up moving this back about 1/8 of an inch. Wanted to get that matched up there, retaped on that hinge, came back, lined back up with this again, make sure that was all straight. I've already laid this side down, laid that side down, pulled this back, cut along the outside of this. Whenever you cut on that, with your X-Acto, we're not cutting on the paint, but we want to bring this blade, point it out, and just slide that edge down, so we're not cutting on that paint. You're just dragging that top of that blade real lightly along that door to get that straight cut. Once that's cut, I can start that mask. I can tuck this edge, and again, once we open the doors, we can get those rolled. I'll come back and work on that real quick. If you get any bubbles in these, you can lift this back up. That's kind of in the middle of that, so I'm gonna pull that up with a plastic squeegee. You know what, I'm gonna go ahead and just pull that up all the way. Won't be too bad. That is right on the outside of that, so I'm gonna be really careful with this. And just go right back. Let that cool. I just give it a little bit of heat. Make sure it's lying back up where we want it to be. This should lay right back. A little bit off on that. That's a hair off. And again, the more you pull on this, now with no mask on that, it will stretch. So you got to be really careful with that. But I can get that right back. There we go. And this one does have a little bit. You saw there it wasn't touching this door. This side it is. So I really don't want to, I don't want to cut that because I'm afraid I'm going to get an uneven cut up here at the top. So I'm just going to pull this back just off that graphic. Again, this material, I like to use the word resilient. Now that I've released that adhesive on the fender, I can tuck that in. Make sure it doesn't catch there. Now we can open that door and go back and get on. You may have to, a little tricky on getting back there, but coming from the back side, we can use our fingers and roll that back in. I'm gonna go ahead and get this side. So I don't want to get any dirt in there, so I do want to get those exposed edges down fairly quick, at least when they're open like that. Now that I've got that edge pulled in, I can come back with that squeegee and again, it is a little tricky to get all the way back there. But once we get that out of the way at the seam, when we go back, finishing touches, open that door, get back there, pull those seams in with your finger, just make sure it's all attached. And on their back door, this is that piece that we're gonna go back and add those other colors on. And again, if you wanna make a mark, just for your alignment. And this should be right on that edge. And you can see how much room I have here. I probably come over just a little bit on that. So not a lot of margin for error on that back door. And again, we're just right on top of that spear. Or the lower spear. With this kit, Obviously, most of what we do is inspired by other kits or earlier model Broncos. Some people I've seen this done where it stops at the fender, and I've seen it done where we have the extension on the back. So this will include the extension on the back. You don't have to do it. We're going to do it just to show you what that looks like. And this is that part where I said I really want to try to keep that off that paint, but it's just barely tacked on there. I want to make sure I've got room for that air to come out. You saw a little bubble back there, so I pulled it back up. But with the mask on it, it's super easy to do. And you'll feel it. If there's anything in there, you're going to feel that. And that is good. So I'm hoping I can get us another piece of this mask. Okay, same trick as before. Just have to take the edge of that and separate it by hand. And then just put that back down. Can't stress enough the importance of the quality of these vinyls. This is the same material we would do on a commercial van wrap on a food truck, but it is a cast film, so very thin, very soft. The laminate is, this is 8518, so it is a high gloss, very paint-like finish to it. And on the sides of this vehicle, this should get 5+ years. The hood maybe a little bit less just because of the sun. Gene, I'm gonna let you do that rear piece.
Okay. Hardest part of the whole kit coming up. Not literally. But if anything, it would be the part that takes the most amount of heat. I'm actually gonna pull my tape that was down here. Put it up here just to give myself a little bit of extra hinge. Break my tape free there. I'm actually going to go ahead and just pull this whole piece. A little different of a hinge than what we usually do. Just going to let that relax. Make sure that has the even amount of tension. Just slowly work that. I already got myself a little off. Even, there we go. There are a few compound curves here. So that's why we're going to take this one nice and easy. Definitely recommend going slow right here. So that way you can watch where those wrinkles are. If those wrinkles look a little rounded like this, you should be okay. If they start looking a bit pointy, that's when you want to hold off. Give it just a quick flash of heat. So far, we're doing just fine. And also, I'm going straight down right here on this hump of the body line, locking that in, and then I'm going to the back, since this is the highest point. Now we're getting down to this other curve. That kind of curves into the back, so we're going to get our heat gun for that. Make sure it reaches its peak temperature. Gonna warm that up literally just a little bit. That actually exposed a bubble that I had up here. When we take that mask off, I might need to work that, but it's no big problem right now. Just gonna slowly work our way down. I'm leaving my hand under here so it doesn't end up sticking to the back and I have to chase the vinyl back up. That way I can kind of get everything all in the same motions. Alright. Those fingers there off inside, also not a big deal. Instead of trying to get those to lay down, they might not, because the mask is possibly keeping them up a little bit. So that's why I'm gonna go ahead, pull the mask off, keep that as close to the body as you can. And there's those bubbles that I had mentioned earlier. And just because of where they are, I'm still gonna lock in this part where the fender is. Since the mask isn't on it, it'll go straight down. Don't have to heat it up, anything like that. And as Greg did mention, it is easier to do this with the mask still on it. But if you do have to do this, of course make sure your hands are clean. Pull evenly, slowly. You don't want to just pull from that corner where I started and continue there. You just want to evenly pull from it, just like that. Once again, give it a little flash of heat. Nothing too crazy. So we don't want to shrink that. We just want it to go back to where it was. Don't rush this. Just take your time. Once again, leaving my finger underneath that so it doesn't just lay down all together. Also kind of pushing up and over. After this last bit, one last flash of heat. Now, just about ready to hit the road. Last little part, just run your squeegee off into that crevice. You can start on either side. Of course, if you start from here, you go in, it might be a little difficult because you have that fender there. So what you want to do is just get right in the middle with your blade. You saw it just dropped in there. Now it's not going to go anywhere because it's pinched right between those panels. Just going to slowly work across. I'm not pushing up against those panels, just right enough to split that vinyl. I'm going to walk our squeegee through there. You don't want to drag it quite yet, just because you might end up buckling the vinyl. So you're just going to give it a quick press. Once you're satisfied where it fell into, now you can slide just your squeegee right through there. And of course, as always, go back with heat, make sure everything is locked in place, no bubbles. That's it for today.
I don't know what that time was in that. We had 2 people on that. Obviously, we just did the hood plus one side. Again, we're going to do some more graphics on this, so we're not going to complete this car. This was just for the demo. Just want to say again, just as Jim mentioned, post-heating, we want to go back with the heat gun, go over that vinyl, make sure everything is tacked. If there's any spots that weren't, you'll see a little bubble come up. Let that, pull that heat away, go back with your thumb or squeegee and lay that back down, and then go back and check that again with heat. Post-care, we like to use quick detail just to keep that stuff clean. Obviously, it is a vinyl. If you use a orbital buffer, you could damage that vinyl. So very careful, hand wash to everything on there. We're going through car washes again. I do it. It's not recommended by the manufacturer. If the wash catches an edge, it could peel that up. Again, recommended not to. However, you do that at your own risk. And this is a pretty cool kit. Again, this is something that came to us. That was I think it came a little bit further forward. We wanted to redesign that to what we felt worked with these lines a little bit better. As we look at that hood, some have asked why didn't we bring that further forward like we do on the retro hockey kits. Well, I wanted to keep this hood stripe as far back as we could on this hood bump. I felt that when it hit the front of that hood bump, it was looking a little odd. But again, if that's something that you didn't like, we would recommend just going with the sides only kit, and then we can go with either just your standard matte black hood, or we can go with the 3-bar custom hood, which is the 3-bar, same colors, coming down thick on the sides, close thin in the front, and it still has a matte black insert on top of that. Make sure you check out the website for that. Let us know if you have any questions on this kit. We're gonna go ahead and do a couple more colors for the back of that. Those will be in the video just as snapshots. We're gonna get some photos for the site as well. And like I said, as always, any questions, just give us a call, shoot us an email. Gian?
That's pretty much it.
All right.
We're here Monday through Friday if you want to.
Next kit.
Talk
coming
vinyl.
soon. So one little add-on I wanted to mention was that sides only kit. We showed you the hood, the full kit. That sides only is going to stop right at the top of that fender line. So if you didn't want to do the hood, this is the angle or the stopping point of that sides only. We did get that rear off. We took some photos with the blue stripes, the gray stripes, the brown stripes. They all look fantastic on white. One thing I wanted to mention as well, this kit will be offered as a standard hockey as well. So in that matte black with pinstripes, we're going to do that. We're going to do a matte black with colored pinstripe as accents. We're probably going to throw that on our cactus gray. So stay tuned for that. Again, all of our kits are always customizable. We try to do what we think is going to be best for everybody, and that seems to work out.